What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we have another rules roundup from the lovely folks over at Wizards of the Coast who run the Transformers trading card game. Every week they give us, a bunch of answers to a bunch of questions that we've asked to clarify the rules and make sure we all know what we're talking about. And I like to come along every week, as hopefully you know by now, and talk you through all the changes, clarifications, whatever you want to call them. So we're going to start off with a couple of questions based around the order of doing stuff. And we're starting off looking at Omega Supreme, a card which hopefully most of you have got, whether it's through buying a box in Australia, buying a loot crate, or going to a pre-release event in the UK. So Omega Supreme in bot mode has a really nice skill. If one of your other characters would take 2 or more attack damage, you may have this character take 2 of that damage, and the other character take the rest. So the question becomes, what happens if the other character has a force field? Force field says that if the other character would take 5 or more damage, it gets reduced down to 4, and then force field falls off. And the answer is, it is the person who is receiving the damage who gets to make the choice. Essentially, it's happening to them, they get the choice. So you could apply force field, the force field falls off, the damage goes down to 4, 2 on the other character, 2 on Omega Supreme. Or you can choose to have Omega Supreme take 2 of the damage first, and then there's only 4 damage being done, which means force field won't do anything and will stay attached because it's not reducing the damage. There we go. You get to choose the order. Well, what about if Dinobot Sludge, the new one, has a data pad attached? Well, the new Dinobot Sludge has got a really nice ability in bot mode. When you attack and have fewer cards in hand than your opponent, you draw 2 cards. And then data pad reads, when the upgraded character attacks, draw a card, then you may put a card from your hand on top of your deck. So what happens if you've got 1 fewer card in hand than your opponent, and then you don't put 1 on top of your deck with datapad? Because when the attack starts, you've got 1 card fewer in hand, but then as the attack's going on, you've got the same number. How does this work out? And the answer is, they both happen essentially simultaneously. So you can choose the order in which they happen, but they still happen. So the second the attack starts, you have to draw 2 with Dinobot Sludge, and you have to draw 1 with Datapad, and then you can put 1 down with Datapad, though you don't have to. And you can take the 2 with Sludge and then use Datapad, or you can take the 1, put 1 down or not, and then draw 2 with Sludge. The important thing is, as soon as the attack starts, both of these effects trigger. So even if you use Datapad first, and then you've got the same number of cards in hand as your opponent, you've still got to draw 2 with Sludge because that ability has already been triggered. They both happen at the same time. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Because they're happening simultaneously, you get to choose the order, but they are still happening. What about Slipstream and Alpha Bravo? I know, right? 3 questions, 1 week. So if we have a look at Slipstream, we're looking at Slipstream in alt mode here. And the skill that says, when one of your planes attacks, move 1 damage counter from it to the defender. And then we can have a little bit of a look at Alpha Bravo in alt mode, which reads, when an enemy plane attacks, do 1 damage to it. And this is not like the Sludge and Datapad ruling. This is 2 abilities, but 1 for each player. So when we looked at Sludge and Datapad, both of the abilities are on the same player, so they both happen at the same time and you choose which order they resolve. However, if it's different players, 1 for each player, the abilities of the player whose turn it is go first. Now that's really, really important, because Slipstream, of course, lets you move 1 damage when a plane attacks, but you might have no damage over. So the order is really important here. If there's no damage on, you want Alpha Bravo's ability to trigger. You take a damage and then move it. Whereas as it happens, because you take your abilities first, Slipstream's ability triggers, no damage is moved because there is no damage, and then you take a damage from Alpha Bravo. Little bit mean? Yeah. Yeah, it is. But the ruling is, if both players have an ability that would trigger, it is on the player whose turn it is to trigger first. Whereas if they're both on the player whose turn it is, you get to choose the order. It is up to you. What if we have got a Motormaster in alt mode and a Steamroll? So Motormaster has got a lovely little ability, one of my favourite in Wave 2. Your other characters cannot take non-attack damage from your opponent's cards. Okay, cool. And then we've got Steamroll. Steamroll reads, it's the same as Grimlock's bot mode ability. Choose one of your characters. When it does more than enough attack damage to KO an enemy this turn, your opponent chooses one of their other characters and puts the extra damage on it. Quite simply, you can just choose a non-Motormaster character and the damage will be prevented. Just like with Grimlock, any damage moved over by Steamroll is non-attack damage, which means it will be prevented by Motormaster, so it doesn't matter what else happens. If Steamroll does enough damage to KO a character and there is extra, you can choose to take it on whichever character you like. Might I suggest not Motormaster? And then Motormaster would block it. And then, of course, somebody had to ask it, although I thought it was fairly obvious. I love that we get the confirmation. What if Steamroll is on Grimlock? Well, it's a pointless card. Because as soon as the damage moves from Grimlock, the damage has been moved. They both move the damage which isn't used to KO. So they both do the same thing, so they are very much doubling up. I suppose you can choose whether you're using Grimlock's ability or the card Steamroll, but it becomes a pointless card. And given that Steamroll has no pip, might I suggest this is not the best use for Steamroll. Now here's a fun one, Crash Landing. Crash Landing is another card from Wave 2 that I like very much indeed. You can only put it on planes, and when the upgraded character is KO'd during your opponent's turn, you do damage equal to its attack to a tapped enemy. So what happens if you've got one character left each? Your opponent KOs a character that has Crash Landing attached, but then Crash Landing would do enough damage to KO the attacking character. Does it result in a draw? No, you lose. And the reason, very simply, is the effect never triggers. What happens is the character gets KO'd and the game is over. What would happen usually, character is KO'd, oh, then let's use the card, but essentially think of it like this. The second the character is KO'd, the game ends, leaving no time for Crash Landing to actually be applied. Cool. Now, here's a fun one, and again, this seems like a little bit of a hint. It might be future-proofing, or it might be a hint. Unleashed Potential. It's an amazing card that can only be played if you've already played an Ancient Wisdom. But you get to choose a battle card you own from outside the game that has 1 star and put it into your hand. So the question is, theoretically speaking, what if a card had 2 or more stars? So we see these star cards in Wave 2, cards like Leap of Faith, that cost a star to put them into your deck. And there are 7 of them in Wave 2, and they are all single star cards. So this wording on Unleashed Potential of 1-star cards, does that mean that they are planning 2-star cards in the future? I don't know. The answer is probably yes, because why would you not be playing around with that? It just makes sense to do it. I think we're going to see it in the future personally, but it's also future-proofing. It's like if you look at the bot mode of Slipstream, bot mode of Slipstream referred to at least 3 different battle icons, which at the time made absolutely no sense, because we only had 3 different battle icons, blue, orange, and white. But now we're in Wave 2, we've got a green battle icon, and yes, I believe extremely strongly that we will have more in the future. So, are combiners considered to be in bot mode, or is there a new combiner mode? The answer is Combiners are in combiner mode. It is not alt or bot mode. Now, this is important for cards like marksmanship, for instance, because marksmanship allows you to do 2 damage to an enemy in bot mode, so we need to know what combiners are. They're combiners. It's not bot mode. It's not alt mode. It's combiner mode. Now, I do love that the person writing these does have a bit of fun with them. So we've got a question here with Protected by Metroplex. So Protected by Metroplex is one of these cards that came in the Metroplex deck. If the upgraded character would take damage, instead your Metroplex takes that damage. So what happens if you've got Metroplex and Slammer out, both at 1 HP, but Slammer's got Protected by Metroplex? And then your opponent plays a Strafing Run. Now, Strafing Run does 1 damage to each enemy. Now, this is very important, because if the damage is not done simultaneously, you can KO one of them. Either you KO Metroplex or you go to KO Slammer and it moves to Metroplex. Either way, Metroplex goes down. And then the second one goes on to Slammer and you win the game. The answer here is, and I'm going to quote this word for word because I love it, all damage done by Strafing Run will be done simultaneously, no matter where that damage ends up. Metroplex would end up taking 2 damage and be KO'd. Slammer would live on, driven by vengeance. I absolutely love it. And then finishing off with one of these little admin, logistical questions, whatever you want to call them. The kind of things that, yeah, you might know them because you've been playing card games for years, but some people are new to Transformers. Remember what I always say? Let's help those people. Let's keep them around. Let's be playing this game for years. Are you allowed to look at your opponent's discard pile? Yes. The discard pile and KO zones are areas of public information. Accurate information must be provided upon request during a game, but please be polite about it. And always ask permission before touching another player's cards, and handle them carefully. Could not have put it myself. Wave 2 is out now. There is going to be an opening coming tomorrow. Cheers for that, Royal Mail. Yeah, they delayed my cards because Royal Mail are rubbish. But we're going to have an opening tomorrow, and we're going to have a lot more Wave 2 content coming over the coming weeks. So don't worry your pretty little heads about it, ladies and gentlemen. There's good stuff coming down the road. But for now, I would like to know what you think about all of these rulings, all of these questions, etc. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but please do remember the rule. Be nice, would you? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about Transformers and other games. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.